Okay, we start. Right? Dr. Pontip gave evidence today, and of course she has stated her position. Insofar as she is concerned, she maintains earlier evidence, and she confirms that there were pre-fall injuries, and of course she says that she is very sure that it is not suicide. So as far as we are concerned, I think we have done our part. So now it's really going to be up to the coroner to make a decision as to which of the experts he chooses to believe. Yeah? Insofar as we are concerned, we are now going to focus on the other area of the inquest, which is this new evidence that the prosecution is attempting to introduce. So for that, the court has fixed first of September, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 2:30 for mention, because we have informed the court that we are in the process of taking instructions and also getting various experts to assist us in terms of opinion. Okay, so Dr. Pontip telah memberi keterangan pada hari ini. Beliau menegaskan pendirian awal beliau bahawa memang terdapat kecederaan-kecederaan sebelum jatuh dan beliau mengesahkan perkara itu. Dan keduanya, beliau juga memberi keterangan bahawa beliau pasti bahawa kes ini bukan satu kes bunuh diri. Sama ada ataupun tidak Tuan Coroner akan menerima keterangan beliau ataupun keterangan pakar-pakar yang lain adalah satu perkara yang kita akan hadapi kemudian. Isu itu akan dibangkitkan semasa kami membuat hujahan. Tapi buat masa ini sekarang kes ditangguh kepada 1 hari bulan September pukul 2.30 petang untuk kita memberi maklumat kepada mahkamah berkenaan dengan usaha kami untuk mendapat pakar-pakar berkenaan dengan keterangan baru yang dicadangkan oleh pihak peguam negara. Seperti mana kawan-kawan saya semua sudah tahulah, ya. So kami akan balik ke sini dalam 2 minggu, iaitu 1 hari bulan September untuk tujuan itu. Ya.
Any idea when the whole inquest will be over? Final decision be made?
Well, I'm no position to say now. It really depends on what the witnesses or the experts have to say. As you know, we have gone through this for more than a year.
Yeah.
We were quite certain that we could wrap it up in August, which is this month, with Dr. Pontip taking the stand and then the IO just to wrap it up. But unfortunately, at the 11th hour, we see an attempt by the prosecution to adduce some new evidence, and I think that's something that we've got to deal with carefully, and I'm not sure how long it will take, but I can say to you that it would involve many experts and opinion as well. Yeah.
How the introduction of this note will make any difference to today?
Beg your pardon?
How the introduction of this note, said to be a suicide note?
It is. I'm not saying it's a suicide note. I'm not saying it's a suicide note. I think I will say that it's a document. Whether it's a note, whether it's a suicide note, I make no comment on. We are in the process of getting opinion on that.
Have you got a hold of a copy of that?
Yes, I have. I was given a copy of it last week when we came to court. How? Well, I think that's something that we have to consider. We are in the process of doing various things, and I'm not in a position to say as of yet. But I would say, I would actually say that. And I repeat myself, this is something which should have been done a long time ago. We've come to the tail end of it. Everyone's given evidence. They've all expressed their views. The experts, the pathologists have said their part. And producing that document now, I don't know. I'm not sure how it's going to affect the inquest, but I think that's something that we have to wait and see.
Right? Until they introduce it, you will censure the AG. Are you looking to take action against the AG?
Whether or not we will consider taking action against be it the AG or anyone else is something that we will decide later. I think what is important is for us to do certain groundwork first, confirm certain facts before we decide what it is we want to do and how it is we propose to approach the issue in the days to come at this inquest. All right?
How do you describe the attempt by the other side to bring in this document on the 11th hour when everything is being... Is it kind of malicious? How do you describe the action? I mean, you've been a crime lawyer previously. There's supposed to be a sequence of evidence being given to the court. Kind of such a primary evidence being brought in last minute. Do you think there's some naughtiness in it? The fact
well,
that as a lawyer and also a politician, how would you describe the feeling of the people on the road? I mean,
Well, in terms of feeling of the people on the road, I think everybody knows that there is widespread anger as to how it is a document of this nature could have been suppressed in terms of not being given to us until now. Naturally, of course, we will wait for an explanation to see the reasons behind this before we decide what it is we want to do. But in terms of lawyering, certainly this is something which is completely prejudicial, completely unfair. I have termed it as an abuse of process. Why? Because, as I said earlier, we have gone through 1 year of trial, and for you to come back with a note now, something which may materially affect the entire inquest, is something which I think is completely what do you call, unheard of and unfair. Okay?
Can you describe how significant of the testimony today in the case?
Well, as I said earlier, I think Dr. Pontip has made her stand. She has said that she rules out suicide, and she's also said that there are pre-fall injuries to the neck, and which could have been caused by force and a blunt object. I think the rest of it I leave to you to decide. Okay? Well, I think well, Dato' Razak has every right to venture his suggestions as to why it is this witness ought not to be believed. But I think what happened today reflected a lot of immaturity on part of him, because simply because it was not he was not striking at the issue. I think if you look at a university and whether or not it's recognized here, that is something which is besides the point. The question is qualification. If a person has got qualifications and is able to speak on a subject with certainty, then I think that should be the test. In any event, I think Dr. Pontip has very clearly said that albeit our country does not recognize her university, but her university is one of the top 5 in Asia in terms of that field of practice. So that again reflects on part of our government. Perhaps we should start looking at recognizing more of the top universities that exist in this world, or even the Asian region, in order as to improve on the quality of the professionalism in this country. That will be something that we will take up in Parliament later. Yes, sorry.
In terms of our view, I think what's important to take away from today is that Dr. Pontip indicated a concern about the bruising on the neck. That led to the exhumation, and she has now confirmed that upon examining the body itself, not just looking at photographs, that bruise was there. And she has confirmed that the bruise was significant. It's a very large bruise, and she says that in her view that it was caused by trauma, blunt force. Blunt force, that's right, that's the word she used, and that it was caused before the fall. Now that's very, very important in how to view this, because Dr. Shahidan in cross-examination had also, to my recollection, confirmed that the injuries to the neck had occurred prior to the fall as well. So when one looks at this question and asks whether there's any signs of violence or struggle or anything before the fall, now here's evidence that might point to that. So that's very important. The basis of the exhumation has actually been justified and proven. I think the second thing that we should take away from this is that Dr. Pontip, as the director of her institute, which also oversees crime scene investigation, has said that there is a protocol to how notes like the one that is being sought to be introduced by the prosecution are to be handled. And she said that that is something that is very critical for the police. And the police will be looking at doing DNA testing, palm printing or fingerprinting of the document. And this should be done at the earliest possible opportunity. So we don't know whether these things have been done. From the looks of it, it has not. The question therefore is, what value is this evidence to the prosecution or to us? But more importantly, as Gobind has said, why this evidence was not produced earlier so that suggestions like this could have been made at the outset. Because ultimately, all evidence is to be brought before the coroner, and it is for the coroner to decide whether that evidence is relevant or not.